unilateral extraterritorial coercive economic measures as a means of political and economic compulsion. After 14 years since the first time we debated this in the United Nations General Assembly, we welcome the presence of the Foreign Affairs Minister of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, His Excellency Mr. Ivan Gil, Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs of Cuba, Mr. Elo Rodriguez, and the High Representative of the Republic of Nicaragua, Mr. Ivan Lara, and all delegations present here in this debate. My country aligns itself with the statements delivered by the delegations of Uganda on behalf of the non-aligned movement, of the G77 and China, and Venezuela on behalf of the Group of Friends in Defense of the United Nations Charter. Mr. President, Excellencies, Bolivia condemns each and every one of the unilateral coercive measures that over the years have been arbitrarily imposed against sovereign countries, principally against developing countries. These measures are illegal and they are a flagrant violation of the United Nations Charter and of the basic rules of international law, including human rights and international humanitarian law. The unilateral coercive measures, as the name quite well tells you, are arbitrary, capricious measures imposed by one state on another with the aim of generating economic, trade and financial effects that are adverse to the country for political reasons that have devastating consequences on the economies and the stability of the populations of the countries that are affected. These unilateral measures not only affect governments, but they directly affect peoples. They affect their well-being, their development, and stop them building their life's projects. Vulnerable populations such as women, girls and boys, the older persons, persons with disabilities, and indigenous peoples are all affected by these measures. Mr. President, it's clear that unilateral coercive measures are applied as a tool of political, economic and financial coercion against free and sovereign peoples. One of these examples, the most infamous of them, is the failed policies of unilateral coercive measures in the form of the financial, economic and trade blockade applied by the United States against the brotherly nation of Cuba, and that has been the case now for more than 60 years. The restrictions imposed have made it difficult to access food, medicine and other essential goods, and also stand in the way of accessing international markets and financial resources. This has limited Cuba's ability to modernize its infrastructure and improve its health services and education and develop its economy in a sustainable way. Once again, we reiterate our unfailing solidarity with the people and government of Cuba, and we call upon the government of the United States of America to put an end to the inhumane embargo unconditionally and without delay. Likewise, we reiterate that the dignified people of Cuba should be excluded immediately from the arbitrary and unilateral list of states that sponsor terrorism. Excellencies, unilateral coercive measures not only affect the development of countries and worsen the conditions of poverty and inequality, but also they constitute serious violations of human rights because they aim to make people suffer and take away from them the most basic things for their personal, family and community development. Our commitment to the United Nations Charter and the basic principles of international law should unite all countries together, in particular developing countries, so that we eliminate and pull up by the roots once and for all these unilateral coercive measures, and that they do not continue to pose an impediment to trade and investment between independent and sovereign nations. Therefore, the unilateral coercive measures should not only be of concern to the countries affected, but they should be of concern to the entire international community. This is a matter pertaining to multilateralism, and that is why Bolivia endorses the request for the Secretary General of the United Nations to present a report outlining the intention to monitor these unilateral coercive measures as a means of political and economic coercion, and to study, amongst other things, the negative impact that such illegal measures have on the countries affected, including the impact on trade and development. In conclusion, we express our firm support and solidarity with all peoples and all governments that suffer from the application of unilateral coercive measures, in particular with the Latin American peoples of Cuba, Venezuela and Nicaragua, so that these measures, and we understand that those measures also affect our economic and trade integration at a regional level. Thank you very much, Mr. President.